so pleased that everyone's so enthusiastic to be here for this program and to learn about the history of our town. And before we do get started, I want to let you know about a couple of other exciting things we have going on here at the library. All the information is available on pamphlets in the building, also on our website at hghlibrary.org or on our Facebook page. First off, we are celebrating National Library Week this week. And it's an annual celebration. We like to just say thanks to you for making our programs possible. We have refreshments in the lobby. We're also doing a giveaway for some signed books. All you do is put your information by the cert desk and you could win some pretty cool titles. Also, this Thursday on the 11th at 6:30 p.m., we're hosting a town budget info session leading up to the referendum. If you'd like to come in a casual atmosphere to ask some questions or find out some information about the budget from some department heads and representatives, we'll be here. We'll have some delicious food. Last week we had some for the education budget. It was quesadillas and guacamole, so, you know, even if you just come for that, I won't tell anyone. But also this weekend on Saturday from 10 to 3 in this room, we'll have our spring craft fair and bake sale. Come and do a little shopping, support the library. Along the lines of history, we are going to be showing On the Basis of Sex, which is the story of a young Ruth Bader Ginsburg. That's on Monday, April 15th at 5:30 p.m. in this room. And all of these events are free. There's no registration. Anyone can join us. We're also very excited to be hosting our 6th annual Hats and Horses Derby Party. It's a lot of fun. Tickets for that are $30. It's our fundraiser for the library. We will show the Kentucky Derby live. Everybody, you know, wear your best hat, get dressed, and we'll have some prizes for that. If you don't have a hat, we've got that covered too. On April 23rd at 6 p.m., we have a fascinator making workshop, which is a lot of fun. You can make an over-the-top or elegant chapeau, and that's $10, or it's free with the purchase of a ticket to the fundraiser. So again, thank you for your support just by being here. And thank you to the Clinton Historical Society for putting together this wonderful presentation, and for Peggy Lupone for offering to do it here with us. And thank you for being here.
I'm a little overwhelmed, and this is wonderful because the room is filled with family and friends, and most importantly, Clinton people that have probably lived here most of their lives and still. Okay. Oh, is there a mic? Oh. Does this one work? No.
I have a wireless one. I can set you up.
Chairs in there?
No, I think in that room there.
Yeah.
There's chairs. Oh.
Hello? No.
No.
Not going.
Sounds like it, yeah.
Well, I will yell. Can you hear me now if I talk this way?
I think it's working.
Okay. I am a former teacher, so just behave yourself. All right. I took got a master's degree in storytelling a number of years ago, and one of my favorite storytellers, Donald Davis, has said in one of his books that long after someone has died or some place has gone away, if you tell stories about them or tell stories about the place, that you can bring them back to life, even if it's only for an hour or whatever time it is. So I encourage you, first of all, I want to dedicate this to Angelo Lupone, the grandfather of my husband, my cousin, and my sister-in-law. When you tell stories, you bring them back to life, and you do it now. Gather your stories now, because this presentation was done long after the original people have passed away. And you have to do a lot of digging to find out what's going on and what happened. And you do that through researching pictures and all that kind of thing. But do it now. Go and talk to your parents, talk to your family, find out different stories about them, because after they're gone, it's not always available. Yeah? And who knows? Okay, so lights, please. I don't stand too close to something. Okay, so I'm going to be reading a lot of this. This was something I did for my thesis for that degree I was talking about. And all Americans passed through Ellis Island in the 1800s and early 1800s and 1900s. And we can only imagine how they felt to leave their past behind and start afresh in this.
Just stay in front of it. If you stay in
This
front
way?
of it, yeah.
Okay, thanks. This land of opportunity. In the early 1900s, two brothers, Salvatore and Angelo Lupone, immigrated from a small village called Vitellano in the mountains near Naples, Italy, to the United States of America. Angelo would later return to Italy to be married, only to return again with his wife Battista and start what was the beginning of the Clinton department store. This story of that store and this is the story of that store and the family who nurtured it. This is a picture of Madison, where they first came in. In 1905, the Boston Post Road in Madison was a wide dirt road, shaded by overhanging trees, and there weren't any utility poles, not many automobiles, and no street lights. Small stores provided the necessities of life for the residents and the summer visitors. Somewhere along this route, two brothers from Vitellano, Italy, named Angelo and Salvatore Lupone, settled and worked together in the first establishment later to be called Lupone's. Angelo was a cobbler. He worked with his brother in Madison for a brief time after coming to this country. This is where the story of the American dream begins. 100 years of dedication to family, hard work, and personal service had its humble beginnings here. Of the 3 Lupone stores established in the shoreline towns of Madison, Clinton, and Guilford, the Clinton department store was the one that survived the longest. Brothers, nephews, or cousins, each one's founded, owned, and operated stores independently of each other. This is what Madison looked like in 1957.
Wow.
These buildings were destroyed later in a fire. The only one left standing was Jolly's drugstore, and the others were replaced. Angelo left Madison and went back to Italy to be married to Battista Mazzarelli. When they returned, he started up his own shoe repair business in the town next town east of Madison called Clinton. The Madison store survived for 2 generations and then closed in the 1970s. When Angelo and Battista moved to Clinton in 1906, that is when he established his own business. He opened a shoemaking and repairing shop in a small barn-like building that stood at the rear of the present store, right about where the shoe department rests today. I'm still puzzled by the statement written in Ethelene DeBona's article from an interview with Vincent in 1994. He was 79 at the time, about the whereabouts of this first barn where he kept shop. She stated that the store at that time was in a barn that stood from John Street to Post Office Square, and the Lupones had a section of the barn for the store and upstairs living quarters. I'm not sure how or if John Street ever connected to Post Office Square. As time went on, Angelo expanded his business by selling work shoes and clothing to his customers. Because he had a sight problem, his wife Battista helped him in the store by operating the cash register. In 1922, the Lupones built their brick store in the vacant lot in front of the barn, as you will see later on in the presentation where I show you the map of Post Office Square. These are some pictures that my uncle Hull had, and this is where I think Lupone's store was the last Lupone store, right about, this is the little pointer thing. Right here where the right drugstore is. It's either where Vincent's house is today or the site of the last Lupone store. East side of Post Office Square. Not sure if Angelo opened shop in the building near the railroad track, John Street and Post Office Square, where they mentioned it before. There were booths in the barn where, I think that barn is like back here, where the shopkeepers could set up shop very much like kiosks do in malls today. I believe I read that in the article of As We Were. Again, no telephone poles or electrical poles, and the streets were lined with beautiful elm trees. And this is an expanded view of the Post Office Square, and I don't know the date of this photo. This photo was labeled High Street looking north through Post Office Square. It's one of the previous views zoomed in. Now you see the side of Swain's store right over here on the left. Looking south toward Main Street at Post Office Square, I'm not sure when Post Office Square was named. These old photos refer to it as High Street. Now you can see the barn on the left near the railroad track where the shop stalls could have been in that John Street and Post Office Square mention. And this is the way the photo, one of the photos was scanned. This is Main Street looking down. This is where the post office is now. This is a closer view of the Main Street where Swain's store sat on the corner. This view looks west toward the spot where Angelo Lupone eventually built the brick building he called Clinton's Shoe and Boot Store and his home. So somewhere down in here. That's the same view, only I broadened it out. And another close-up. This is a section of an old map of Clinton Post Office Square in 1917. And here you have the old bank. This is Malchiotti's fruit store, which I'll allude to later. This is Beese's plumbing store, the shed, and this cobbler thing right here, that may be where the first store was, or the repair shop was, and this talks about that. Oops, here we go. Okay, so now I got excited. Here it is, I think I found it, and this is where I talk about, I think this. But I've not been able to conclude for certain if this was the first place he owned or if he rented the barn space. So, Etheleen's article states that the store at that time was in a barn that stood from John Street to Post Office Square, and the Lupones had a section of the barn for the store and the upstairs living quarters. I don't know if this is the barn that she is talking about or not. Vincent and Mario later purchased the building to the left, which stands today. Oh, wait a minute, this is, okay. They purchased this building later on, but here's a picture. This is an old, I think it's an old postcard, and you see Shoreline Plumbing Company, that's the V's establishment, and then here's A. Lupone's shoe store repairing. That's a sign, and I think you had to walk down a path and go in back somewhere there. And then I like to make close-ups. And there's it even better close-up. And Clinton was very different then. Here's a picture of Main Street with a trolley on the tracks. Here's where the street is still referred to as High Street and not Post Office Square. The brick building that was known to most as Lupone's was built in 1922, slightly before the new Clinton National Bank was built on the site of where Swain's store stood. Swain's store was moved to the lot next door, and then there was a small butcher's shop next to that, which Paul Edmonds said his dad rented from Angelo Grandpa. The following pictures show that first building where Angelo and Batista worked, lived, and raised their two sons, Vincent and Mario. There's a small apartment on the second floor of this building which expanded as the original building grew. There were 5 expansions in all as the back of the building was extended. The apartment had 2 small bedrooms, a front parlor, a kitchen, and 4 rooms in total. And this is one of the earliest pictures of his store in 1925. The words painted on the window are Clinton Boot and Shoe Store. And then this was in the book As We Were. I scanned that from, and that was in that book as well. And then this is another close-up. And this is an ad from the book As We Were, and it just says, Angelo, the original proprietor, picture was taken in 1925, and home of better merchandise since 1906. Here's an old notepad that was given out as an advertisement. The address is incorrect, so the name of the store could have been printed wrong also by the Lee Overalls Company, or the Clinton Shoe Store could have been the name for a while, shortened from the Clinton Shoe and Boot Store, as seen in the previous picture. There's no date printed in this notepad. One of the earliest pictures of Angelo inside the original store at 7 West Main Street. And then I changed, you fix things, so this is how it was scanned. This shows one of the earliest postcards that I could find available of the Clinton Department Store on 7 West Main Street in Clinton, Connecticut. You see that next door is the gift shop, also known as the lampshade shop. And then Swain's General Store, where it got moved, and then there's the Clinton National Bank with its characteristic clock sign. The store had been remodeled in this picture. You notice that the glass tile has been added to the bottom. Down here, it's no longer that paneled wood. And Mario recalled that a buyer's group called the Federation Stores were responsible for the design of this remodeled storefront. And this is the picture as it was taken. So you see the upstairs rooms. And then close-ups. And more close-ups. And I haven't been able to figure out the pricing, but that's okay. And then this is a view from the back of the new post office across the street. And I never dated this picture, but looking at the cars, you know, some of you guys that know cars really well could maybe tell how old that is. And then I did a close-up, because I'm not sure who was there at that time. And then there's another one with the updated store. Looking up toward Clinton Department Store, when this I showed in here mostly when parking was still available on Main Street.
On both sides.
On both sides. This is Angelo and Batista, founder of the Clinton Department Store in 1906. This is the first generation. Now the second generation starts to kick in, and this is Batista and Angelo with their two sons, Vincent Joseph and Mario Anthony, on Mario and Helen's wedding day in 1951. And this is a picture of Vincent and Mario behind the store during high school years. Both sons worked in the store when they were students at the Morgan High School. Their oldest son, Vincent, became a full-time worker in the operation in 1933 after graduating from Morgan. Mario graduated in 1935 and went to work in the store following his service in the Army Air Corps during World War II. He also worked in the Clinton Post Office for a while. And here's, where is Vincent? There he is with his graduating class of Morgan High School. This is Emmett Rana, who was one of his best friends. And here he is back at his work desk in the hallway in the back of the stairs. And there he is with Emmett in front of the store. This is Mario Anthony, for 4 years of the armed service. And Annie Vi. This is one of the special parts of this presentation. Around the same time Vincent graduated from Morgan, a young girl named Violet Rose Blauvelt was also hired to work in the store after she graduated from high school. Her father owned and ran Stan's Market at one time, and she lived in a little house on Morgan Park. Here she is pictured with her mother and friends in later years. Annie Vi, as she later became known, was a loyal and cherished member of the Clinton Department Store family. Many memories evolved around her dedication to the Lupones. Main Street, from Corner Grocery looking west in Clinton. The building on the right here was Violet Blauvelt's father's meat market, later known as Stan's Market. in the 1950s. Although we cannot find a lot of pictures